Hey everyone, thanks for joining our Startup Grind fireside chat and workshop tonight here with Norm Brzycki. And yeah, excited to have you all join us. And for those that aren't familiar with Startup Grind, it's one of the largest startup networking organizations that started out in Silicon Valley 10 years ago, and now there's 500 different chapters around the world doing at least monthly events. And for the time being, we're doing virtual events, so feel free to check out other chapters as well. Our local chapter is sponsored by Brex, which is a first corporate credit card for startups. We have some special deals on our website. And it's also sponsored by ShipQuid, which can help you basically, automate some of the sales process and, manage, some of your business development efforts. And there's several other partners from, consulting to development work, marketing, and you can find some of our resources on our page at startupgrind.com/Boston, along with our future events. But for now, I'd like to welcome you all to the chat. And anytime you have a question, there's a Q&A box, or you can type it into the chat. And Norm might be asking some questions as well. And if you raise your hand, we can unmute you and have you jump in there too. So yeah, with that, I'm going to hand it over to Norm to get us started.
Thanks, Jason. I appreciate that. I'm going to get myself off screen here for a second. Jason, I'm going to minimize you.
Sure.
So there's my screen. How is everybody? So happy to see you here. And thank you for being here tonight. It's a lovely evening here in Boston. I'm not sure where you're at. I'm Norm Brzycki, and I'm the founder and director of Dash Strategic. And we focus on helping startups develop into effective dynamic organizations. And we also do a lot of leadership development for them as well. So that's what we're doing here today. And I love today's topic is innovation, successfully delivering the new client expectations. And it's a pretty interesting topic. It's amazingly exciting. It's a really great time to be diving into innovation because the whole world is there now, right? If your company or your business is not, or your culture of your business is not, does not have innovation embedded and customer experience embedded in your business model or organizational model, it's just really time to get on board there because the whole world has shifted there. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How do we actually do this? How do we take care of our clients with these new expectations? So let's get going here. I think. So a couple of suggestions first. First of all, some recommendations. So this is going to sound a little strange, but stay off your automatic. So if you when you go into an online presentation or anywhere and you just kind of jump into your normal routine, I'm going to try to keep you off of that. So one of the things that an organization's got to be careful about is just that, it's going on your automatic. And most of my clients have problems with that because it's natural for human beings to go on their automatic. So I'm going to ask you to check in to see if you're doing what you normally do. And if you are, try doing something different. I also am going to ask you to check in on your mindset as we go through the presentation, because there are some things that might have you thinking, some things you might question, some things that might trigger you, if you will. So just be aware of that, because the mindset is everything, especially in innovation and customer experience. You've got to have that mindset of service, if you will, and making a difference for sure. So we're going to talk about that. So participate. A little bit harder online, I know that, but it's not impossible. I've done a lot of these, and we can actually pull it off here. It's just a little bit slower, but Jason's going to be here to help facilitate that. So participate. Again, that's staying off your automatic as well. If you're shy, do your best, right? Dig in and see what you can do, and have fun. I have to have fun, and I'm hoping you have fun with this as well, because it can be fun. It's not work. It's like, wow, this is interesting professional development work. Be aware of your aha moments. You might have some. In most of my work, there are aha moments, and hopefully you'll have a few as well. And if you do have one or two, feel free to let us know, if you will, via chat box. And then last but not least, I do a lot of leadership development, clearly, and make this presentation extraordinary for yourself. because you can. And so I'm going to ask you to do that, work on that, and dig in and see what you can do with that. So a little exercise here. Real quick, I'm going to go back one. So I'm going to show you a screen here in a second. And on this screen, you're going to see a yellow card. And on that yellow card, there are a number of words, some with the letter F's on them. F as in Frank, fire truck, etc. So the exercise is, I'm going to put this slide up. You're going to count how many F's are on that card, and then you're going to go ahead and put that amount in the chat box. And when I say go, everyone's just going to send how many F's they count on their card to me, and we'll take it from there. So everybody clear on the exercise, I hope. Any questions, let me know. Again, I'll repeat. Count how many F's are on your card. Keep it in your head. When I say, okay, go ahead, send them to me, everybody's going to send how many F's they've counted on their card to me, and we'll see what happens at that point in time. Everyone clear on that? So I'll give you about 5-10 seconds. It's not like 1,000 of F's on there. So 5-10 seconds, I'll give you a warning, and when you're ready, we'll go for it.
Sounds good.
So there it is. I wish I had the Jeopardy song, but I don't. Jason can hum that for us, I'm sure, if we wanted to.
Counting the F's.
So you see there's not a lot of them there. Everyone good to go? Do you need some more time? Are you ready to rock and roll?
There we go.
Okay, great. All right, let's keep going on. Let's move on here then. Thanks, guys.
Oh, we got one in the question too, but I'll just send it to you in the chat.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
Do I see it? Okay. I'm going to move on here. Getting you lots of time to count those F's there. So, innovation. One of the reasons why I love innovation so much is that it's not just black and white, right? It takes all of your senses, all of your abilities as human beings. So there's a lot of data, there's a lot of grunt work, a lot of things we've got to do to create a real innovative organization. But there's also some things that are not some soft skills that are required as well. So we're going to talk about all of those, if you will. So what we're going to really focus on in this discussion is innovation. What is it? What do they want? And how do we deliver it to them? And it's going to be fun. So let's get on with it. So first of all, what is innovation? Technically, innovation is defined merely as introducing something new. There's no qualifiers on scope or how groundbreaking or world-shattering it needs to be. Only that it needs to be better than it was before. So this is pretty easy stuff. Now, ideally, if you are a dynamic organization, you've got a continuous improvement program happening here. And that's kind of what they're talking about here, growing and changing and just being a really good organization. And that's baseline stuff. But don't poo-poo that. That baseline stuff is really important because this is the groundwork of building a dynamic, innovative organization. You've got to be able to do this. You've got to be able to continuously improve and be clear on where you're going and grow and change. So that is the key for you becoming this real dynamo, innovative organization. So be aware that we'll talk more about what that might look like here. So then today's innovation needs to be transformative and disruptive, and it must make a difference. If your innovation being a big change or transformational or disruption doesn't make a difference, you're missing a boat there because people buy making a difference. That's really what they buy, and they want you to make a difference in all areas of their life, from work to life, whatever you're selling. So whatever your innovation is must make a difference. Disruption occurs when introducing something new, not just new for your company or new for you, but truly new. And transformation occurs when the innovation changes people's mindsets and worldview. And I'll give you an example of making a difference. pizza delivery made a difference. It shifted the world, believe it or not. So I remember going to pick up pizza when I was a kid for the family, and I remember saying to myself, geez, how come they can't just bring it to our house or deliver it to us? And so that was an example of somebody listening to somebody's idea or want or heard or thought that they would like it delivered as well. That's voice of customers. So that's what innovation is. So it doesn't have to be huge. So you don't want to just look at big pieces of innovation. If you do that, you're going to blow yourself up as an organization. And that's a really sloppy way to go. You want to start small and build up and get good at it. And so it's not just about the next iPhone, right? It's just not. It's about really making yourself a good company first, serving your clients better and better, adding value and more value, charging more and more for your money. And next thing you know, that big thing does show up, and you can move on from there at that point in time. So it must make a difference. I'm going to keep on hounding on that. And so part of your organization has got to be focused on making a difference. And we'll talk about how we do a lot more of that as well. So there are three general areas of innovation. There's technology innovation, there's product innovation, and there's service innovation. And they all, and in your organization now, you have all of these, by the way, in some level. They just have to be that way. So it's in your organization now. So what you focus on is actually what your business is, right? So if you've got products that you develop, that's your business. If you have a new technology, that's your business. If you have a new service technology or a new service initiative, that's your business. But I promise you, all three of these things are in your business. So take a good look and decide what business you're in, and right? And you're going to see that you're going to have to use all of these to make it work for you. So these three areas, technology, product, and service, there's a reliance there. So you've got them in your organization, right? You lean on some things, not so much on some other things, but I promise you that they're all there, and they all need them to be there to have a truly innovative organization. So what happens is there's a reliance here, and then all these three things together, assuming that they're all good, if not incredible, that creates the customer experience. And I'll make a statement now that customer experience and innovation are synonymous these days. They're almost interchangeable. So when you hear a great customer experience, that's an innovative company. It's innovative on their product, on their technology, and on their service. So it's important to get that customer experience is a necessity these days. So you can use innovation, you can use customer experience, somewhere they interlap, I promise you that. But if your company is not practicing customer experience or not focused on that, you're probably in trouble, because that's the whole world is there. And I'll show you some data that that's where the world is, and that's where it's going. And it's going to not go away anytime soon. So remember, customer experience, and that's what CX is, if you're not clear about that. So what are the new client expectations, right? And they're pretty significant, and they're interesting because they're not very typical, some of them. Some of them are just straightforward, some are not so straightforward. And again, they challenge us on many different levels. So let's go into what are some of the new client expectations. First one, they expect your company to make a difference. Make a difference in their company, make a difference in their profits, make a difference in how they do business, and make a difference on them improving as well. 56% of customers actively seek to buy from the most innovative companies. It's out there. That's what they're looking for. And that is those that consistently introduce new products and services based on customer needs and technology. So the expectation is that you're going to stay on top of this and provide them with new technology, whether they know they need it or not. 63% of customers expect companies to provide new products and services more frequently than ever before. That's what they expect. And this data is from different areas. This particular data right here is from Salesforce, and it's fairly new, so it's good stuff. 66% of customers say it takes more for a company to impress them with new products and services than ever before. So the heat's on, right? So as a startup, don't let this scare you. Just don't, because you're going to pull this off. And It's something you grow into in your work ethic. So you don't all of a sudden wake up one day and have all these things ready to rock and roll. You just don't have that. So this is where that continuous improvement program comes in and helps you out quite a bit. And you being a startup, the number one thing that you can do as a startup is to provide that customer experience, and that's how you beat the big boys. If you lean on that for right now, because all people know you're going to make mistakes, right? So if you lean on customer experience, you lean on making a difference, you're going to start beating the big boys. That's going to give you the competitive advantage, I promise you. According to a recent customers report, 2020 report, that was last year, by the way, by this year, customer experience will overtake price and product as the key brand differentiator. So look at that, what's underlined there. Price and product will be the key brand differentiator right now. So I think the days are gone when you just come up with this great product and you could just go and get it out there. I don't think that's going to happen as easily as it used to happen, unless you come up with a transporter like Star Trek or something. Then it's a no-brainer. But just, you know, you have to be careful about when you put something out there, you've got to back it up. You got to back it up with technology. If it's a product, you have to back it up with technology and service, customer experience, etc. And this is a scary number right here. 76% of customers now report that it's easier than ever to take their business elsewhere, switching from brand to brand to find an experience that matches their expectations. Again, this is from Salesforce. So that's the good news and the bad news. So if you do not provide that level of experience, people will be taken away from you. But if you are lean and mean and you're a young, aggressive startup, you can start picking customers from other people, and that is the great way to get going and a great way to start beating the big boys as well. So another data from Mickelson, a piece of data, Mickelson and Associates, 69% of customers leave due to poor service. It's not, look at how low the product is, it's only 13%. Because the products right now are very similar, right? And like if you're looking at iPhone, phones or cars, you name it, they're all very similar, right? So they're looking at service and the experience of owning your product. The poor product, 13% people leave because they're really low. And then the high price, it's amazing how little people are looking at price these days. Of course, they're pretty all equal as far as what things cost, etc. So that's an interesting piece of data. 89% of companies expect to compete mostly on the basis of customer experience in 2016. So this was done in 2011, by the way, compared to just 36% in 2010. I put this on here just to see where things are trending here, right? It's amazing. So that between those 6 years, the amount of companies expecting to compete mostly on customer experience almost increased by 70%, which is an amazing number, right? And that just goes to show you where we're at. I don't know where we're at today, but I'm sure it's much, 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 much larger than that. And this number right here should scare us all. 91% of customers, having taken their business elsewhere, report having been satisfied. Anybody care to determine why that's the case? What that means? What do we take from that number?
Is that, just to clarify, is that they're satisfied previously and still switching, or they're satisfied with their new?
No, I'm sorry. Good question. They were satisfied with the company they switched from.
Oh wow.
Yeah, right. That's a scary number. So what does that tell you? It tells me that, you know, just being good is not good enough anymore. You've got to have those three things working for you again to provide that customer experience. That's a real piece of data right there. And it's just amazing. And when they leave, they'll never tell you because they're satisfied. This is, oh, we're leaving. So everything was fine, but they're still leaving, right? So that's something to be aware of here. And that's where the world's heading. So along with the great customer experience, they expect you to personalize their experience. 84% of customers say that being treated like a person, not a number, is very important to winning and keeping their business. I think that's funny when we look at the next slide. 70% of customers say understanding how they use products and services is very important to winning and keeping their business. So if you look at that, there's a lot of research and relationship building that's got to happen for you to actually personalize their experience and provide a great customer experience. So there's a lot of work there. So whatever your agents or your people facing people live or either on the phone or in person, they need to be doing their homework as to finding out what these people are doing, how they're using it. So these contacts, these agents, if you will, these salespeople, it's a huge job right now, a huge job. And they're on the forefront of getting this information for you. And so just have to be aware of that. And then 59% of customers say tailored engagement based on past interactions is very important to winning and keeping their business. So meaning they don't want to have the same old song and dance. You have to tailor their experiences by you knowing them and presenting with them new items that you think they're going to need, that you think are going to help them. So it's just amazing where things have headed here. And again, this is a lot of expectations, right? And so when I first started doing this research a few years ago, I was like kind of shocked a little bit that, wow, they want a freaking lot, right? But when you stop and step back and look at some of these things are just technology driven and relationship building, it's not that bad, but it does force us to be exceptional. And that's the lesson to take away here. How do we remain exceptional? And this is what customer experience is all around.
Yeah, and we had a comment from the from Alice, you know, that there are a lot of poor customer service experiences, and you know, building off of that too, like it seems like, you know, we had a previous trend of shifting to more automated, no phone call, no, like nothing, or I mean, a lot of companies still don't even have chats you can reach out to for customer service, and now that's sort of, we're seeing a trend back to think a little bit more customer service, right? Would you say?
Yeah, and it is, and again, that's what the experience is. So, you know, and here's the thing, Amazon taught us a lot about that, right? And I'm not saying Amazon's a great company anymore, but they definitely set the trend there for customer experience. And really, with all these things that are popping up under their expectations, you look at how they do business, they probably hit 95% of these things for sure. But you're right, Allison, about that customer service thing. There's nothing more aggravating to me than when I need help with my computer that I can't speak to somebody. So with that as context, we'll go to the next page. This is interesting. 40% of approximately 300,000 consumers in a global survey said they prefer self-service to human contact for their future contact with companies. And I get that, right? As long as it's not too hard, right? And you don't, because sometimes speaking to a person is a time sink, but in the red, they want that until something goes wrong. And then what do you think they want then?
They want you to help.
They want your help. They want to speak to somebody. And how quickly they want to speak to somebody? Now. So that's the weirdness of it, right? So we want that, we don't want to interface with anybody unless we have to, and when we have to, we want to do it quickly. But also, Gartner research, by 2020, this year, the customer will manage 85% of the relationship with an enterprise system without interacting with the human. 92% of organizations that view customer experience as a differentiator offer multiple contact channels. So let's go back to that conversation that Allison brought up again. So in our world now, knowing that there's a cost factor to operating automatically a lot more and technologically speaking, how do we keep a really powerful customer experience for our clients? And how do we build that relationship these days, knowing that this data is somewhat real, right? And it's not for everybody. It's not everybody likes this stuff or wants it to be this way, but that's where the world's going. So the challenge you are going to have as an entrepreneur or a leader is, how do we build that in? And it's not that hard, but that is the focus you must have as an organization right now. That's not just going to just happen. They're not just going to be happy if it's delivered on time. It's way beyond that now. So, of course, a big concern now is customers expect data protection. Make trust your priority. That's what they're saying to us. 62% of customers say they're more afraid of their data being compromised now than they were 2 years ago. That's a big number, right? And I think we're all concerned about that. Who hasn't had their credit card tapped into these days? I've had mine like 4 or 5 times now. So that's what's going on out there. And that's the lesson there. Just, you know, you got to make sure that when you're using data, and all this is data driven, right? So you want to make sure that you have protection, you have security in place, et cetera, et cetera. Some of this can cost some money. So as a young startup, it's interesting, right? How you handle some of these things, but step by step, baby steps, and you keep moving forward, and you'll be there real soon. And just remember, A strong customer experience is about relationship. It's not about technology. It's just not. You want to get on the phone, call some people up, get to know them, etc., etc., etc. So how do we deliver all this? And that's the question, right? How do we actually do this now? So there are 4 keys that we need to be looking at when we attempt to be that high-powered, innovative customer experience organization. And so the first thing we need to use is data, right? And it's a data-driven world, and we all know that. So we've got to make that part of our business model and make sure we handle that end of things. But this is where it gets pretty interesting too. Voice of customer. And so we need to be trained and taught how to focus and listen to our customers. So how do you listen to your customers without live interaction? Well, I guess you can listen to some customers via email as well, depending on how good they are. But voice of customer is huge, and I'm going to make a statement that most of the earth-shattering innovative ideas come from voice of customer. So we're going to focus on that a little bit too as well. So also you got to have some creativity in your organization, and it's not as voodoo sounding as it is. We're all creative to some level. So when you used to drive to work and you hit a traffic jam, you got creative, you got innovative, right, to go find a quicker way to get there. But this is where it gets really, really interesting. You need to have an organizational and a cultural mindset of all these things: service, making a difference, and being world-class customer experience organization. That is a mindset. Let's look at data. Data is king. You got to be able to collect data. You got to have customer data management. You have to have storage and keep this information somewhere. And you have to have analysis of all this data. So it takes a bit of effort here, because this is how you're going to make decisions, right? You make real business decisions these days. And this has changed so much even over the last 10 years. 10 years ago, it was still instinct and gut a little bit, right? Now it's all about data, and rightfully so. It's powerful stuff. So we have to use data to be able to deliver that customer experience. Voice of the customer. I told you about that pizza thing, right? So that was actually me identifying I had a want. I didn't tell anybody about it, but somehow that person found out and thought of it. Someone thought a good idea was to deliver pizza. And when that happened, that was freaking earth-shattering. You were all probably too young for that. That's when Domino's came to an existence. I think it was, wow, late 70s, early 80s, and then what a shocker that was. We could all get pizza from home in our couch, right? It was huge. And it's funny that even today, that innovation, and it was innovation because it transformed the world, believe it or not, and it disrupted the world, is even really powerful now because of the virus. All restaurants, the only way they're surviving right now is delivery. So, but what is that voice of customer? So that your clients can't tell you what they want. They don't know it. You've got to start to listen on a real different level. You have to listen to what they are not saying. Hello, right? They are not saying it. They speak around it sometimes, and it's just not they don't want to tell you. It's because they don't know and they can't verbalize what they want. We just know that there's a pain there. So when you're interacting with a customer, you want to have that third ear happening, right? You want to be paying attention. You want to understand what their pain is and what they're not saying. And you want to definitely put yourself in their shoes and start asking, what would I want? Again, I said earlier, voice of customer is where most of the earth-shattering innovations have come from, because it's kind of hidden, right? And the first one, the company that gets good at listening to voice of customer and then reacting and using an improvement program to deliver it is going to really win the ball game here. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more if we have some time a bit later on here. So creativity, and I love this quote because creativity scares people. So if I were to ask all of you right now, okay, be creative, right? Who can do that, right? You've got to create a culture that allows that and creates some space in time for that. I love the quote though. We have got to abandon that sense of amazement in the face of creativity, as if it were a miracle if anybody created anything. We all have that capacity. Some of us are afraid of it. Some of us don't get to exercise it enough. But it's there. It's real. 3 questions to start asking each other and yourself to start kicking in creativity. 1, how can we better ? Number 2, what if ? And number 3, how to make a difference with our clients. Those 3 big, large questions start to generate creativity and start to shift your whole organization to start thinking about these things. And that's actually the shift, by the way. If your mindset, if you want to have a mindset of innovation and customer experience, those are the 3 questions. This is the tool to use. So again, how do we deliver this? Now, when looking at your organization, right? On the left side, there's value added on the scale. On the bottom, there's sophistication. And there are 3 levels of innovation. So event level is kind of like the basic level. That means I can innovate if we have to. And some companies, even as early as 5-6 years ago, big ones would actually have innovation events like once a year, a week of innovation, which was so crazy and so ineffective. And but they thought that would do something, and whether they got something out of it, I'm not quite sure. I remember being at Constant Contact, and they were so proud of having a week event for innovation. I just thought that was pretty crazy. The next higher level, the next level of sophistication is capability, meaning you're capable of innovation. It's not your main focus, and it only happens when you need to have it happen. And again, that's pretty sloppy, and you can lose customers at capability level. And then last, but the highest level, is a culture and a mindset of innovation and customer experience. That is why you need a dynamic improvement model, and then we'll go over that really soon. You need to be a dynamic organization to make that happen. And I hate to tell you this, if your culture is not one of a mindset of innovation and customer experience, you're probably going to be in trouble fairly soon. And because it's just where the world's at. It's like, I can't even give it a comparison right now. It is there. Everything that I do, all of my trainings, for example, is all based on innovation and customer experience, because that's what everybody needs right now. We do other trainings to support that, but that is key. That is number 1. What you need is a culture and a mindset of innovation. So go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I was just gonna touch on, like, I think there's even a bigger gap right now, like, companies that were able to creatively adapt to work from home, or serve their customers in a new way through all this, and ones that sort of falling behind through everything. So I think it'll be, I guess, some of them might be sort of an event. Maybe it's a short-term change. Some of them might be a longer-term mindset change. But no, I think this is a great slide you had.
It's and I'll go back to that mindset, because it sounds a little too psychological, even for me, right? But everything you've done today came from a mindset. It's just the way it is, right? You being here today, listening to this, it was a mindset you had. People that aren't here today, it was the mindset they had. It drives just about everything, and it impacts everything. And your organization also starts developing mindsets as well. And usually it's the mindset of the leaders or the leader. So you have to be aware of that. So the work for leader is to find out what my mindsets are in these different discussions. So if you wrote down how many F's you count, text them to me, please. So if you remember what they are, just send a text to all of us, if you will.
Yeah, so we got, Joe, I'm gonna.
Oh, you have? Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we had 2 or a couple people say 4. Someone said 3. Or a couple 3s. Yeah, it's pretty split between 4s and 3s.
You guys want to look at it again? Let's take another look at that. See if you count something different.
Oh. Yeah, I got 6 this time.
You got 6 this time. Ah, how many did you have last time, Jason?
4.
Mm-hmm. Good job. How are you counting 3? Anything different? So there are 8 on there. Does everyone see the 8 F's on there? And I'm going to read them to you. Finished, 1. Files, 2. Are the result of, 3. Years of, 4. Scientific, 5. Study carefully combined with the experience of, 6. I missed one. There's actually 8. Yeah.
Carefully.
So how did that happen? That's the question, right? So how did that happen, and why did that happen? So what happens is we automatically jump to our automatic mindset with things. And in this case, we jump to a mindset. Now, mindsets are interesting, right? They're not good or bad. That's not what this is all about. It's not, you're not brilliant if you counted 8. It's just your mindset was of that today. So mindset drives everything. So your mindset on this little experiment or game was this. And maybe you read it fast. Maybe you didn't think it was that important. It doesn't matter what it is. But you counting the F's the way you did came from a mindset. A small little example, but it came from a mindset. It also, mindset can be on automatic. So if you just say, oh, this is easy, I count these and I'm done, that's the mindset you had for this. I promise you, there are hidden F's that you have every day at work, and especially in the areas of innovation and customer experience. So you want to take a good hard look at what you're actually seeing and doing at work, because I promise you, it's impacting you daily. If you're a leader, you need to get really clear that this is a bigger deal than you might think it is right now. Everything your company does is driven by your mindset. And I promise you, and don't believe me, I don't want you to believe me, I promise you, there are hidden F's in your company all the time. One of the first things I do when I go into organizations is, okay, I got to find out what the hidden F's are here, because there's a ton of them, and there's a ton of them in yours and a ton of them in your personal life as well. So that is the lesson here. Try to do something different. Get off of automatic. Automatic is the kiss of death. If you just read this automatically, like you always read things, you would never have gotten it, because the F sound like the of sound like V, right? So it's important to check in on mindset. Everybody see the 8 ones now?
We had a couple comments that they saw 8, one that's 7. Yeah, some 8. All right, now everyone's. Yeah, we're getting the 8s.
Okay, good. So, and that's good. And again, it doesn't mean you're a genius. It means you did the exercise correctly, first of all. So what was the exercise too? Just a reminder, it wasn't to read. It was to count how many F's are on the card. And we'll move on. I did that for 1,200 people in Coca-Cola. And when I have people in attendance, nice job. 7's even pretty damn close, right? So when we have everybody in attendance, it gets really rowdy and it gets somewhat outrageous, because I start to question them. And then, how can you only see 4 there? You sure you only see 4 there? And they say, yes, of course I'm sure. And I'll say, are you willing to bet on it? And they say, yes, I will. And then we pretend we have bets and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun, but it's a real eye-opener. You want to be aware where your hidden F's are starting right now. When you go leave here, there are hidden F's in your car, in your closet, in your relationships, in your employees, in your operations. I promise you, they're everywhere. So back to how do we deliver all this stuff, and we're going to talk a bit more about culture and mindset. There are two necessary, and I'll call them essential tools your organization needs to be a dynamic, customer experience dynamo organization. The first one is the dynamic organization / business model, which is fairly simple to do, but it's a powerful tool. It is like a football field you draw for your organization, and it deals with all kinds of airy-fairy stuff like being statement and purpose and mission and vision and key pillars and core values. But you put in the things about service, about making a difference, about practicing creativity, all those things that make up an organization. And it's up to you as leader to make sure you implement that in that organization, because it will go away, I promise you. If you don't keep on pounding on what we're doing here, what's our purpose, what's our mission, what's our vision, I promise you, you'll default to old ways of doing things, like maybe you did with that hidden F's card. And if a leader doesn't understand the power of that, this is not a marketing statement, right? So these missions and purpose statements, it's not for marketing at all. These are operational statements. These are guidelines for how you want to be and how your staff wants to be and how we hold each other accountable with that. And I'll suggest, if you have a powerful dynamic model, you should hire based on that. But that's a bigger subject for a bigger day. And if you want to have any questions about that, let me know. But it's interesting. And then the second necessary tool is you've got this great model, right? Of vision, purpose, mission, and these are real things. These are not things that sound good. These are things that you're actually trying to do tomorrow. You need a progressive growth and improvement process. Whatever that process is to you, it's usually a quarterly improvement plan, but whatever works for you, you need that to bring all these things to fruition. So this model is not some pie in the sky. It is what we're doing. It is what we're doing today and tomorrow and for the next 6 months until we accomplish some of these things, and then we bring new ones on. With those two things, you become a crazily effective organization. You become exceptional at creating brand new ideas, products, and efforts to take care of your clients. You don't go backwards. You keep on improving, going forward faster and faster and faster. So although this isn't a frantic tool, it builds momentum for you. And these days, if you're a startup, you don't have a lot of time. You can't be wasting time, so you need a process, because without a process, you're all over the map. I don't care who you are, you're all over the map, and you're having those hidden F's showing up everywhere is what you're missing. So those are the two key things you need to have, and it's not brain surgery, right? But they're powerful, and they're more powerful than a lot of people give them credit for. So I want to talk about voice of customer here a little bit. And if you remember, voice of customer was using data, voice of customer, and or your intuition. So I want to have a quick discussion about the evolution of listening to music. So in the old days, I'm not that old, but in the old days, people had to go somewhere to listen to music, right? They went to the opera house, the concert hall, the bar, wherever it was, because that's the only place you can hear music unless you play it in your living room. So somewhere, somehow, somebody came up with the idea or the want, if you will, or the intuition that wouldn't it be great if we could listen to music at home and we don't have to play it, right? And so what happens is these people didn't know that it needed something to do that. It was a nice thought. It was a nice intuition. And they didn't know they needed a Victrola. They didn't know that. And this is why I mentioned earlier, voice of customers, where all these great, amazing things come to fruition, is because it really solves a pain. It makes a difference in someone's life. So somebody came up with this great machine, a Victrola, right? But somebody then said, I'm getting tired of cranking this handle, right? Can we do something with electricity? And then next thing you know, voila, there's a record player. And then again, people have lived with that for a little bit, and then again, people were either saying, or people were intuitively thinking, or they felt it themselves, I wish it could sound much more like the concert hall. It came up with stereos. And then from there, wow, people said, can I have this music in my car or my buggy or whatever it was? And you probably don't even know what this is. Who knows what this is? or who doesn't know what this is? I'll be quiet because I train teachers too. So
We got 8-track.
it's an 8-track. You know, good job, Jason. You weren't alive when they were up.
Yeah, Alice typed that in the chat.
Allison, you're awesome. I'm sorry, I can't see the chat, Allison. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's an 8-track. And so, quick question, Alice. What were the thoughts when people were using their 8-tracks, do you think? What was their wishes? What were their wants? What do you think? Using your intuition, what do you think they thought
of? Portable music.
Eventually, yep, they thought about that. What else do you think they thought of? Because remember, 8-track meant something. You can only put 8 songs on there. So people were thinking, well, why can't we get an album on there? I'm guessing, right? That's my best thought. So they came up with cassettes. You could put double albums on there. And then back to your point, Alice, they said, why can't I walk around with this music as well? So that's how voice of customer drives innovation more than anything else there is. So you got to get to practice at that and use that. So it's not just you thinking, oh, I've got this great idea. I think we should do it. It's cool or it's great. If nobody wants it or it doesn't make a difference, nobody's going to buy it. I don't care how cool it is, how great it is, nobody's going to buy it. And then who knew we needed CDs? I didn't know. Nobody knew, right? Next thing you know, we have a CD player. I mean, what the frick is a CD player? And we all go through that. And we didn't know we needed laser disc. And next thing you know, we're streaming music. And that is the evolution of music, how we hear music through voice of customer, some data for sure, and intuition. But I promise you, most of it is from voice of customer. If you have a great idea, and it covers these 4 areas. First, voice of customer, and there's data backing it up. And on the left, it's feasible. Your organization can pull it off, right? So you just want to only buy in the sky. So if you have a great idea and it's not feasible right now, you don't want to throw it away. You want to put this idea in your improvement process and get there as quick as possible. On the bottom, are you capable of providing outstanding customer experience? And on the right, does it disrupt? If it handles all those things, I say go for it. That is the basis for success and innovation and product and service development. I thank you for being here. That's it. Do you have any questions? Can I be of any help to anybody?
Oh, that was great. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to add them through the chat. And yeah, I want to start off with one as well. Basically, you talked a little bit about, or you talked, about the customer voice and then also the data. So, do they always line up, and which one do you listen to if it's telling you something different than what the voice of the customer?
Great question, Jason, and very intuitive too. So if you gather data, usually data is gathered about what you're doing comes from who? Your clients, right?
Right.
So I'm going to suggest something. They don't know what they want. So they're going to tell you how good you are, and they'll tell you some things that they're aware of. Can you do this for us and do that for us? And that's great, and that's innovation. That's actually more improvement process, but it still can be classified as innovation. So that difference is the information you get through data, hard data. It's kind of like known information. There's no aha moments. There's no shocking. There's no disruption, if you will, usually, and no transformation. So that's the two differences. They're both important, and you need both. So I'm not pulling data. Data is king, as I said earlier. It is king. But it's kind of stuff that you already know, or you can figure out just by working at it and asking questions. Voice of customer goes a little bit beyond that. Did that answer that, Jason?
Yeah, that was great.
Okay.
And then we had another question from Henry. What do you think the new client expectations of small businesses requesting loans or working capital?
So what do I
Oh,
think?
okay. Just trying to yeah, summarize this. Yeah, I guess new or what would the new client expectations be for I guess if it's more of a financial service business replacing some of the legacy, players in the space?
Yeah, I actually think that's a prime target right now. I think it's a huge target because these older institutions, good word for them, they are so far behind the times of what people are needing right now, of what that experience is. So if you're going to jump into that area, I promise you that is mostly about customer experience, right? And some innovative products for sure that go along with that, but people want to be taken care of. And right now, the current institutions are not doing that very, very well at all. They're starting to get on board, but they're doing silly things like having cafes in their bank. Really? I mean, really? That's how much they're afraid to change. So I'll go back to that mindset. If you want to go in that business as any business that has been around for a long time, you've got to get out of that thinking, that automatic thinking about this is how we do things, and that's how you're going to win this battle. By the way, and I think that's really exciting. And I would highly recommend you go down that road and you focus on customer experience, right? And then you do what you can do, and I promise you, people are going to hear about that, and you're going to start building loyal clients, which is what customer experience does, and you'll have a good go of it. But it's got to lean on that because that's a pure service business almost, right? Obviously, you've got to have some products and some money to help them out with, but that's a great way to go. I think that's an awesome thing to do.
And then we had another question around how do you manage or multiple client pools? I guess like either a marketplace system or different types of clients.
Well, if you look back, if you look at the remember the slides, you need to cater to their needs. So you've got this core area of expertise in the customer experience, but listening to their needs through data and voice of customer, you've got to customize your efforts with them. So it's not like one, the problem is like these big institutions, they all do the same thing for everybody unless you're a multi-billionaire, and then it's a bit different, right? But generally speaking, it's all one template. Those templates are kind of going to go away. You have to personalize the experience. And this is where that building customer experience and client loyalty show up. And this is, again, how you beat the big people. I promise you, if you're a startup and you're in the people service business or you interact with people a lot, you can destroy these big organizations now because they're reeling, right? And they're still living, I call it legacy mindset. The world has shifted. People want different things now. And if you still operate the way you used to operate, that's legacy mindset, and you're going to be bowled over here soon by these young, up and coming, dynamic organizations with new ideas, new innovations, new energy.
Oh, this is great. Yeah, no, I learned a lot. Yeah, if anybody has any other questions, feel free to. Oh, we got another one. Sorry, another one coming in now. Oh, just echoing the comments of great presentation and thanking you for jumping on here. And so this, or I was about to ask, but it looks like you have the slide up here, where people can follow you and get in touch and what they should look out for from other offerings you have or how they can get involved with some of your programming.
By all means, and there's a couple of it as well. But first of all, the first one is my website, Dash Strategic. Go on to there. You can connect to most everything I do for sure. And there's also a contact page if you want to just reach out that way. And then also my Dash B School is my online virtual business school where we deal with a lot of these things. This is actually going to be on there as well. And that's all virtual online stuff. And then there's my email address. As I was saying to Jason earlier, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m., I do Coffee with Norm. And it's on Facebook. It's a private group called the Tribe of Transformational Leaders. So if you're on Facebook, and some people aren't, I totally get that. Just ping me, ask to join, and I'll get you in there. And these these presentations at 8 a.m. are like 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes long. It's just, I call them our morning jumpstart. It's just some things to think about, some ideas, maybe some inspiration, all that good stuff. I invite you all to join. It's really a lot of fun. We got some heavy hitters in here as well. Also, every other Monday in the evening, I have coaching with Norm. I offer free online executive coaching. Not a lot of them. I do 3 sessions every other Monday, half hour each. So feel free to sign up for that. It's not a sales job. I give you honest, direct, good answers to your questions, and I help you out really, really well. It's a big part of my job anyway is executive coaching. So that's going on as well. And then every other week as well, I do lunch with Norm. I have a lunch with Norm coming up on Monday. Oh God, I can't remember now. Coming up, and it's called Developing Loyal Customers. And you can find all the information out on my website, at the B School, and at the Coffee with Norm site on Facebook page. That is, again, is called the Tribe of Truth Transformational Leaders. I'm really active. I'm out there and serving a lot of people, as you can tell. I do a lot of things gratis just because, you know, it's so important what you guys do. And I'm so thrilled to be able to provide you with some help. You are so important to our world right now, entrepreneurs, and it's important. It's a big responsibility you have. But so I'm here to help you out, and I've been helping entrepreneurs out for a long, long time. So I get the mindset, I get what the problems are. Let me be of help. And if you just need a little jump start with some free stuff, we'll just do that. That's fine. That's what I do.
That sounds great. Yeah, that's a great offering, and yeah, I hope, you know, many of us are going to take you up on that. No, I'm going to join some of your other sessions as well. So, no, I appreciate everything you're doing, and yeah, just want to reiterate as well, like, you know, we're bringing in here at Startup Grind, you know, our focus is bringing in great speakers. Really excited to have you know, Norm give his presentation tonight, and yeah, we're going to keep, you know, doing these. Normally we do about an event every month, but we're doing a little bit extra through these virtual events, and yeah, we have another one on bootstrapping coming up in about 2 weeks, and then a couple of weeks after that, we have one on AI and the future of technology innovation. So yeah, stay tuned for some of our events. You should all be on our newsletter now as well, and you can also check out some of the partners and sponsors on our page for other resources that can help your startup out through all this. Or feel free to reach out, you know, if there's anything specific, you know, you're looking for an introduction within our community. And yeah, Norm, thanks again. You were great, and yeah, really enjoyed you.
Yeah, let me help you out, anybody. Just let me know. It'd be my pleasure. And I'll see you all soon. Maybe coffee with Norm tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. If you get up that early these days. A lot of people are not getting up early these days, I have to tell you. I get up at 5, so I'm always up. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your participation. Hopefully, I'll get to see you all soon and help you all soon as well. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Bye-bye.